half of the German race was walked in by the Pleiadian race. And it was interesting because the brother gave me a cassette called The Occult of Hitler. And the book was taught, and the dude was dealing with all this, and also the guy was dealing heavy with the book, the Spear of Destiny, put out by Samuel Weiser.
The spear that Hitler was looking for?
Yeah,
The Spear of Destiny?
Yeah, the Spear of Destiny.
He was looking for some sort of lance or something.
Yeah, right. But he was also walked in. Hitler completely was walked in by a whole alien, was the Pleiadians. And that whole thing was that they was literally trying to annihilate black people on the planet. But since AWAS was dealing with Aleister Crowley, and Aleister Crowley was still alive, he did some things, and AWAS and them also was the ones that whipped the alien aspect of that particular part, based on British, and they was dealing with some stuff from Sirius, was dealing with some stuff from Sirius. So also the reason for the Third Reich was also to make clones, for experiments, to make clones by experimenting on the Jews. So they just used the Jews as the guinea pigs to experiment on to make this cloning process. You see what I'm saying? And then the other it was also they had to use the Jews to do it because they had to fake this whole thing with to fulfill the book of Psalms. You see, fulfill the book of Psalms, which is clearly talking about the black people over here. You see them, the black people over here. You see what I'm saying? Because see, even though the book of Exodus talks about the black people over here, the Jews over there the white Jews confront and say that was a historical book of Egypt. But what about the book of Psalms is talking about some Jews being persecuted? Then you have to actually put yourself in the damn persecution. You see, to fulfill that and fake that particular that particular part that they're talking about there. You see. So that's also what's going on. Also, that there's also materials also that's out about also I showed in the book of Enoch about black people as food. They have been food. They have been made food. Well, also too, what we have come to find out is the reason why in the last couple of years you haven't seen a lot of blue black people is because they take those people and they kill those people and they drink their blood. So a lot of people is real dark skinned. They end up disappearing. And they drink their blood and all because they are some type of, this vampire thing is real with them. Because in 1994 they've had 5 massive volumes of books on vampirism. Now if vampirism wasn't real, why in the hell are you going to create 5 books plus the movie Interview with a Vampire and Bram Stoker, a book in 92 about vampirism, because they're the real vampires, and they used to eat the mummies and stuff in Egypt. But also too, some of the brothers and sisters, the reason why they are over in Africa and they do a lot of the blue black people, because if you notice the African is lighter now, especially when you see them and stuff. But a lot of the blue black people have become food for them. They have become food for them, and especially here too. It's not every black person in America was mixed with white people. You still have thousands of real dark-skinned brothers. Why is it you don't see that many dark-skinned brothers now and sisters now? I mean, real dark-skinned. It's almost like you can see them and you notice them when you see them. You say, damn sure is a black nigga right there. That is because they eat them. Now, the last state that had the most blue black people was in Florida. And all right. Even right now, you see some pretty brown-skinned women in Florida. You see what I'm saying? A step up above the blue black, so they would probably look like the brother here. But you got some darker, so dark that shit don't even shine. It just be like midnight. That is because they eat them for food. They eat them for food and all too. It's very, very key. You see, it's very key. Now it's interesting because we talk about. And some interesting things I want to get into is I had a big argument with a brother down in Orlando. And what it is the reason why we are being held back is because our minds are still perceiving this prison of being great. And this skin, the original word for skin, was sin. Which means the sin that they're talking about is your skin. It ain't got nothing to do with how you behave. So how you behave. God don't give a damn about how you behave. Hell, we crazy any damn way. How the hell you gonna tell me how I'm gonna be on a pedestal? You got me on a surveillance on how I behave, and I ain't got no mind and shit. You know what I'm saying? I've been mutilated from slavery, and I'm a damn cat thinking I'm a dog. I'm a lion thinking I'm a doggone, you know what I'm saying? Thinking I'm a snail. You see, so obviously they're talking about skin that they're talking about is be released from your sin, and Jesus is going to come back. Christ is going to come back and release you from your sins. That means the Christ within you is going to release your higher self from your physical body, which is the actual skin. You see, which is the actual skin. Now, this, I think it's in this particular book. This is called The Entrance into the Tree of Life by Philip S. Berg. Dr. Philip S. Berg is the person. Entrance into the Tree of Life. And in this section, they got a section in here called the curtain. And it says, you should know that the curtain is a vessel of Malkuth, which is the kingdom talking about the earth. It is the source of all darkness. It is though that it is the force that is to be found is called the curtain. And it says it prevents the upper light from spreading throughout the fourth sphere. Now what it means here is this particular curtain, what we're talking about, that has this particular upper light that's inside of us veiled. So the curtain is another name for the skin is the shell, in also parts of Kabbalistic writings. Now, this particular book here is called the Zohar. And this particular part here is Horus or Heru, which is also another name for the Christ also. So all of these particular disciplines come up out of Egypt. But it says this. Now, this is a book by Gershom. I guess that's Sholem. His name is Scholem. Don't ask me how to spell it. And anyway, that's his last name. And it's called the Zohar, the Book of Splendor. And it says the basic readings from the Kabbalah. So you will have a Kabbalah or a Tree of Life that is, there's two kind of systems of the Tree of Life. One system of the Tree of Life is this system of the tree that you literally look at and understand the spheres. But that's the advanced system, but then again, there's another system where you understand the actual readings. Well, I told you about A.E. Waite's book, The Holy Kabbalah, Mystical Interpretation of the Scriptures by A.E. Waite. But this one is a little smaller one that is in actuality would be one that would be a little more simplistic. And it's called the Zohar, and listen what it says. Woe to those who look upon the Torah as simply tales pertaining to things of this world, seeing thus the outer garment. But those who gaze and penetrate through the Torah, happy are they. Just as wine has to be in a jar to be kept, so the Torah must be contained in an outer garment. That garment is made up of tales and stories, but we who are bound to penetrate beyond. So what it means is you can be in religion and study the quilt and the outer garment for 1,000 years and think you got it. And yet, all you had to do was to pull the damn sheet back, and here's the real deal bed. So that's the difference between esoteric religion and exoteric, and why the exoteric sounds strange. So this particular book deals with introduction. It deals with Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and it deals with those texts as the metaphysical thing on what's behind it. And it's called the Zohar, Book of Splendor, edited by Gershom, 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 Scholem. Well, how the hell it spell this? Anyway, this white boy was a scholar and an actual master of the Kabbalah, and he died in 1982. So this is a particular book that they're talking about here. They're talking about here. Now, the point that I came here to get into right now is the heart of a matter that I hit upon at the first of the year, But since then, I started revealing a part of it when I came the last time, and since then the scholarship on this thing has became profound. Whereas I've gotten tons and tons of more and more scholarship within the last couple of months on this, until it is unbelievable as far as everything that you know of, you need to turn around as far as the concept of God, and I'm getting ready to get into this right now. The name of this particular God that is ruling the physical, and he rules all esoteric religion or religiosity, which means any religion that keeps you from penetrating the veil that I just set up for you, whereas you hear stories of moralism, stories of being obedient, and anything that's not giving you the stuff where you learn how to go inside and raise your spiritual energy to become God. Is it not written in your law that ye are God, John chapter 10, verse 34, 36, is ruled by this particular God called Adalabroth. Now, that's the Gnostic one, and this is the crux of the actual lecture, because you must try to understand this particular form of spirituality, because this has been a thorn in the side, even with me for the last couple of years. As you go more and more up into understanding, the more and more this particular God knows you and becomes your enemy. Now let me explain this to you. I talk about that in this book, and I mentioned the last time I came was called The Secret Books of the Egyptian Gnostics by Jean Duress. Now here's the teachings of Jesus Christ that they dug up in Coptic Egypt, which is how in the hell Jesus don't have the same damn teaching, and these things was here 1,000 years before. And what happened is when the Greeks came into Egypt and they took all the learning from the temples and they put them in one section in Alexandria, and Alexandria was sacked, they had all this stuff spread out all over the land. And the Gnostic schools broke out. And they had this particular science. So what happened is the same ancient Egyptian religion, certain things came about in this particular science, and I'm getting ready to get into this right now. Now on page 37 of this book, it is key that you understand this particular information. And it goes like this. I'll give you a synopsis in the Gnostic text, although there's different versions. I'll give you an Egyptian version, a Gnostic version, and a Dogon version. We'll get into this right now. And it was, in the beginning, there was the goddess Sophia. She's known in Egypt as the goddess Nut. As the goddess Nut. Now, she first was supposed to have this son. In Dogon, he's called Ogu. In Egyptian, he's called Set-Typhon, the second Set-Typhon, the evil Set-Typhon. And in Gnosticism, he's called Adalabroth. He's called Adalabroth. In the book of Enoch, he's called Azazel. Now, he was being created. He got a little restless. Now, I believe that this creation went on after the original creation of the gods and all that went down. So we're going to have to jump into certain parts of history. This was a part of the cosmic history that went on. He was being created. He got restless, and he tore out the side of her womb, whereas it meant that he was not all the way created. Although he is a god over this realm, because this is the lowest realm, he was not all the way created. He said that, I want to be just like you. So he learned how to create something, but it wasn't of the original essence. I talk about this on my tape. I first got into this on my tape, my second tape I did back in '92 called Set-Typhon 1, The Mystery of Set-Typhon. So, the mystery of Ogu and the Dogon. You can get, this mystery can be uncovered in the Pale Fox, if you can get Jermaine Dieterlin and Marcel Griot's book. Also, you will get parts of that same mystery in Robert Temple's book in the section called The Knowledge of the Dogon. In Robert Temple's book, The Serious Mystery. But I'm getting ready to give you some other sources that you can go and get. And these books